Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to today's video. Today we are going to talk about how to buy a house in the UK, how to buy property in the UK. Before I forget, if you haven't subscribed already, please take this chance to subscribe to this channel. It encourages me to produce great content for you guys. And then when you finish that, also press the notification button to be notified every time I release a new video. Okay, let's jump right in. Before you even think about buying a house, check your credit score. This is really important. And don't just check it and leave it there. Make sure it's good. And when I say make sure it's good, make sure it's spotless. Do not try to buy a house if you don't know where you stand with your credit. I mean with your credit score. There are three main credit reference agencies that lenders use. These are Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax. When applying for a mortgage, your lender or bank will run a full credit check. So it's really good to know what your score is, and if you're unsure of what it all means, you can call them and find out. They will run through it with you and give you tips on how to improve your score should you need to. Of course, there are some options should you find yourself with adverse credit. There are specialist mortgage lenders out there that will cater for people like you. Just because you might have a low score doesn't necessarily mean that you can't get a mortgage. It's just likely that you pay a higher rate of interest than other people. So don't let that stop you, just give it a try. You never know. So now your credit score is checked, what next? Your next move is to calculate how much you can borrow. You can use a mortgage calculator, which you'll be able to find on most mortgage lender websites. You need to also look at the mortgage deposit calculator so that you know how much deposit you require to put down on a certain property. Don't forget to check the lender's criteria as well. This is very important. Check your savings and see if you have enough money in place for a deposit that you would require. This is where all the other videos I've been talking about saving come in. If you check them out, they have a lot of useful information, especially if you want to save to get a property. You need to save, especially if you want to buy a property in the UK. Lenders also accept gifting for deposits if anyone wants to contribute to your deposit. If you have a rich friend or auntie or uncle who is willing to pay for your deposit, that is totally acceptable. Perhaps one of the biggest pieces of advice to take at this point is don't max yourself out. Just because you have seen how much a mortgage provider will lend you doesn't mean that you have to take the whole amount. What you can lend and what you can actually afford can be two different things. The last thing you want is to have bought a house you love and not be able to keep up with the payments on it. So be careful with this one. Also, be aware that for you, this is a huge undertaking. But for your estate agents and solicitors, this is their everyday job. They process mortgages right from 10,000 to millions. So this is not a big deal for them, but it's a big deal to you. You're not the only one buying a house, so in most cases you find that it's you chasing for things. You're going to have to be patient and you're going to have to be proactive. Don't just sit there and relax. Now that you've checked your credit score and everything is honky-dory, you need to decide if you want to buy a new build or if you want to buy an existing build. Say you've decided to buy a new build. You could be eligible for the government's Help to Buy scheme. If you're buying straight out, it's likely you'll have to find a minimum of 10% of the property value for your deposit. But with a Help to Buy, you only need to find 5%. The government then contributes 20%, so in total you are only lending 75% of the value of the property. In brief, you pay 0% interest on that 20% investment from the government for the first 5 years. Following that, you start to pay interest only on it. If you want to, you can either pay that 20% back in half or full at any point during ownership. You will pay 20% of whatever the value of the property is at the point of sale or payback. So, if your property has increased in value, you pay back more. If your property has dropped in value, you pay back less. That's how it works. I have already talked about the Help to Buy scheme, but there are other benefits for first-time buyers. This is your chance to look into them. If this is your first time to buy a house and you're aged between 18 and 39, you may be entitled to up to £32,000 of funding through the government. Such a brilliant offer. But you can only get this if you open up a new lifetime ISA. You may recall this launching in 2017. Was it 2017? 2018? I think it was 2017. Yeah. The point is you can save up to £4,000 a year by depositing a lump sum or by saving as and of when you're able to do it. If you're consistent with that, the government will then add another 25 bonus on top of that. But only if you use the money saved to buy your first home. That is the catch. So for example, if you save 4,000, your total will actually be 5,000, and that's before any interest has accrued to it. So before you buy your first property, check out all these things, these benefits that the government has on offer. You might save yourself a lot of money. So now you've done all your research into learning and deposits and you've started house hunting. What next then? This is step number 5. You need to find out how much it costs to buy a house. But how much does it really cost to buy a house in the UK? Here is a roundup of fees you should consider. If you're using a mortgage advisor to buy your property, and I really encourage this, you may have fees for them. These are often absorbed by lenders, but it's important to check with your advisor up front. You will also have to pay the valuation fee. You pay this to your mortgage lender up front, and it can be between £200 and £500 depending on where you live. There is also the arrangement fee. This is to set up your mortgage and it's typically around £1,000. I think for me I paid around £995, but it's all the same. It's added on your loan if you choose. You can pay this as a standalone cost or it can be added onto your loan if you choose. If you have survived all those costs, now you have to pay the legal fees, or sometimes called the solicitor fees. These legal fees will be made up of several other little small fees, including your stamp duty fee, mortgage application review fee, local search fees, land registry fees, identity search fees, and possibly a fee for processing a gifted deposit if that applies to you. There is fees everywhere, fees here, fees there, but you have to pay. That is the process. With legal fees, be prepared to pay somewhere between £1,000 and £5,000. You also need to pay for surveys, where a surveyor will come and look at the property you're about to buy for things like structural issues or damp. You need to do this to protect yourself, just in case. The surveyor fee will come in anywhere between £300 and £700. And depending on the type of house you're buying, you might need more than one survey. Your mortgage lender is likely to charge you a telegraphic transfer fee of around £25. Yes, £25, they want it too. On top of all those fees, you also need to consider removal fees. If you're looking to hire a decent-sized van and move yourself, you could be looking to spend about £60 a day. Or for a professional move where the movers pack your stuff and dismantle and rebuild your furniture, you could be looking upwards of £700 depending on how much you have to move. If this is your first house and you absolutely have no furniture, or if you had furniture but it doesn't fit into your new house, then you're going to have to put into consideration the cost of new furnishings. You need to plan this as well in your budget. Unless you're moving into a new build, but in case you're moving into an existing build, you're going to need to do some home repairs. If after viewing you know there is work that will be required at the property, try and get quotes for all of these jobs before committing, so that you can make sure at least the most urgent jobs can be accommodated into your budget. With all these costs, it's really important to make sure you really have some savings. You need to have savings to see you comfortably through the few months before, during, and after you buy the house. For example, if you're asked to shell out £400 for a valuation here and £300 for searches there, your funds may soon deplete. So make sure you have enough money to see the full process through. Another thing you need to consider is stamp duty. Check it out and how much it is. If you're a first-time buyer, you'll be exempt from paying stamp duty on properties up to a value of £300,000. If you're not a first-time buyer, you will pay stamp duty on properties within a purchase price of £125,000 or more. It is normally dealt with by your solicitor, so I presume this is the norm. You don't need to do anything separately for it. One thing you never ever want to forget is looking at the terms of your mortgage. You need to look at the terms very carefully. I mean the contract, you need to review it, you need to look at it. You need to know how much it's going to cost you if you decide to switch your deal. How much it will cost you if you decide to leave your lender before the end of the term. You need to know if you can make overpayments, because some lenders will penalize you for that. You might not be in a position to even consider either of these now, but it's good to know everything just in case your circumstances change. If it is a tracker rate, make sure you can make the increased payments if the base rate goes up. Or for fixed rate mortgages, make sure you know what rate it will revert to at the end of the fixed period. Another thing that you have to do is to get recommendations for good solicitors, good lawyers. Yes, they are bad solicitors and you can receive bad service from law firms. I mean the ones you have to chase for to send the land registry forms, those ones. Vet them out before you trust them with such an important purchase. Don't forget to view all the houses. View every house that fits into your criteria. Even houses that look the same on the outside are often so different inside. You may surprise yourself at what you find yourself drawn to. Most houses in the UK can be the same outside. Don't count out a house because it has a tiny garden. A house might not have much curb appeal, but you'll be surprised when it has a good-sized garden and stunning views which are not featured in the agent's photos. Also, if you're considering putting in an offer, visit the house at different times of the day. Even if just driving past and parking up on the street for a few minutes. You need to check out things such as how busy the road is, or whether there are parking problems in the evenings. The roads can be busy. The last thing you need to look at is how long it takes to exchange contracts. It can take a short time from offer to acceptance to completion, but things can come up that can delay you. This can include solicitor ineptitude, delays, and enlightening discoveries. If you don't look into your contract, you will spend time and effort going back and forth over planning permissions, building regulations, and potential indemnity policies. Or maybe at the day of exchange, you might find that your cash buyer cannot get a mortgage. All in all, if you want to buy a house in the UK, if you follow this process, everything will be smooth. If at all I've missed anything, please put it in the comments below. It might inspire someone who is trying to buy a house right now. And I hope this has been helpful as always. Until next time, thanks for watching and I shall see you in the next video.